Hello everybody, Interi back again with another video. Today's video, guys, is going to be about if Rafa becomes the GOAT, which he absolutely can become. Will he be the worthy winner of that title? Will he be the fully worthy GOAT player? GOAT, like you all know, probably like you all know, GOAT, which means the greatest tennis player of all time. Because I've read some comments in my videos, and I've read some comments in other different social medias that Rafa cannot be considered the GOAT even if he surpasses Roger Federer's Grand Slam record. He has won too many. He is only a clay court bully. He has won just too little Grand Slam titles outside French Open, etc., 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 etc. What do I believe about this? Guys, let's be honest here. If Rafael Nadal wins 21 Grand Slam titles, 22, or even maybe 20, and ends up with 20 Grand Slam titles as Roger Federer, if Roger doesn't win any more majors, which I don't believe he will, Rafael Nadal will be the fully deserved greatest player of all time. For God's sake, my friends, I have done a video about this before, a couple of months ago, I believe. In tennis, when it comes to big players like Rafael Nadal, Novak Djokovic, Roger Federer, we measure them with Grand Slams, my friends. Yeah, it is good to win Masters. It is good to be world number one for many, many weeks, like Roger has been over 300 weeks, like Novak Djokovic has been over 200 weeks, and Rafa is worse than these two players in this case when it comes to being world number one in consistently in weeks. And Rafael Nadal has won less Grand Slam titles outside French Open than these two, Djokovic and Federer. Rafael Nadal has won less Masters than these two, than Djokovic and Federer outside clay. I mean outside clay, because if we count clay as well, then Rafa has won most Masters of all time, more than Federer and Djokovic, of course. I think Rafa has won 3-4 or 3-5 Masters, something like that. I don't remember exactly. But in the end of the day, my tennis friends all around the world, it is the Grand Slams that will decide who will end as the GOAT. Nothing of that, all other things will be more important than Grand Slams. They will be important. World, how many weeks you have been world number one, how many years you have ended as the world number one, how many Masters you have won, how many titles you have won overall, how many Olympic gold medals you have. Rafael Nadal has won Olympic gold medals in singles. Djokovic and Federer doesn't have any in singles, I'm talking about now. But when people will speak about these three players, the three greatest tennis players of all time, 10 to 15 years from now, or 50 years from now, or 100 years from now, whatever, they will, the main thing, the biggest thing, the most important thing they will look at, it will be the Grand Slam titles. Just look at a player like Jimmy Connors, for God's sakes. He has 109 Grand Slam titles. 109. And look at other players like Pistol Pete Sampras. He has 64 titles. Jimmy Connors have 45 titles more than Pistol Pete. 45, my friends, if I'm counting right here on my head. Not 10, not 20, not 30, not 40, 45. Jimmy Connors have more titles than Pistol Pete. Pistol Pete has 64, Jimmy Connors have 109. But does people around the world making Jimmy Connors a bigger player than Pistol Pete, than Pete Sampras? No, nobody does. I have never read in any article, or I have never seen in any YouTube videos, or I have never seen in any social different medias that somebody is making Jimmy Connors a bigger player than Pete Sampras. Why? Because Pete Sampras has 14 Grand Slam titles. 14! And Jimmy Connors have only 8. Pete Sampras have 6 more Grand Slam titles than Jimmy Connors. 6 more. Then if you look at all titles in general, that Jimmy Connors have 45 more titles than Pete Sampras in general. People doesn't care about that, my friends. People doesn't care about that, because Grand Slams are the world champion of tennis. Grand Slam is in tennis like World Cup is in soccer, or football, like you in United States call it. It is by the Grand Slams that we will judge these big 3 players. It is by the Grand Slams that we judge tennis players in general. And it is the Grand Slams that Federer, Djokovic, and Nadal are chasing now. They are not. They don't care much about FIFA class tournament. They don't care much about 1,000 Masters titles. They care when they play it. They want to win it, absolutely. But they don't value 500 class tournament, 1,000 Masters titles, even World Tour finals. They don't value those titles more than Grand Slams, because we know, everybody know, when the careers will be over, we will look at the Grand Slams. We will look at all the stats, but the Grand Slams will be at the absolute top. We will look who has been winning, who has won most slams. So if Rafa wins 21 majors, or 22, like I've read in a couple of comments in my videos and some other videos as well, some of you are saying Rafa will not be the GOAT still. Come on, give me the break, for God's sakes. How in earth can people still believe if Rafael Nadal ends with 21 or 22 majors, he will not be the GOAT? He will not be greater than Federer still. He will be greater than Federer. He will be greater than Djokovic. He will be called the greatest tennis player of all time if he ends up with more slams than both Federer and Djokovic. Period. It is not even a discussion. I cannot even believe what I'm reading. I cannot even believe, for God's sakes. And some of you have the arguments. I have done a video about that as well. That Rafa has won 2 little Grand Slams outside French Open. He will only be considered as a clay court monster. No, he is as best on clay. He is on clay what Bruce Lee was on martial arts. And I believe that you all know who Bruce Lee was. What Rafa Nadal is on clay, it is in the same way what Bruce Lee was in martial arts. Rafa Nadal is almost unbeatable on clay, especially in French Open. Almost. He's not unbeatable, but almost, because he has lost 2 matches in French Open, like we all know. But he has won over 90. So, and Rafa is not as good on hard court and on grass like he's on clay. We all know that. But that doesn't mean he's bad there, because he has won now 7 Grand Slam titles outside French Open. Before this year's Open, he won 6. But now he has won 7. And 7, in my ears, in my world, sounds better than 6. And I believe it sounds better for you guys as well. And who knows, I believe that Rafa can absolutely win more Grand Slam titles outside French Open. He can definitely win 8 Grand Slam titles, maybe even 9 Grand Slam titles outside French Open. And then the case will be even more obvious that Rafa is the undisputed GOAT if he wins 8 or 9 Grand Slam titles outside French Open. Because only God knows how many Grand Slam titles Rafa has left in him in French Open. I just believe that Rafa Nadal, can be stopped in French Open by only by two things: health or Novak Djokovic. Maybe even team. Maybe. I doubt about team, because he's good team. He is really good on clay, but he's not the most consistent. He's not the most consistent. But clay is his best surface. So Rafael Nadal can only be stopped in French Open by his health or Novak Djokovic, and maybe team. So only God knows how many French Open titles Rafa has left in him. Maybe 2 or 3 more. Maybe 2 or 3 more if he is healthy. So if Rafa gets to 21 majors, he will be, or 22, he will be the full deserved GOAT. No question about that, my tennis friends. No question about that. Because in the end of the day, it is the Grand Slams that we will watch, that we will look at the most when these three players, when these big three will retire. It will be like this today, and it will be like this 100 years from now. Alright guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. Take care and bye bye.